Amazing. Hello, everyone. I'm back here again, a guy who started this opening note today, and I'm here on a closing note. It's not just going to be a closing note, it's going to be a closing keynote for the day uh, from none other than my friend, my colleague, Mudit Singh, who's the Director of Marketing Growth at Lambda Test. You're so humble enough to not mention it as keynote, but I wanted to, mention the importance of this closing note come keynote that he wanted to give, because it's not just going to be about how the day went, but he's going to share about some interesting stuff that we did. We do a lot of community initiatives as part of developer relations and marketing as a whole team. And one of them was a recent initiative about finding the future of testing from a quality assurance perspective. We did a survey with lots of questions around, the release velocities, AI in testing. Almost all the sessions had a question about AI in testing, isn't it? So yeah, I think Mudit has a lot of insights to share, and yeah, go ahead, and the stage is all yours, Mudit.
All right. Thanks, Manoj. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to kind of present over here as well. And people who don't know, Manoj has been the leading man behind the TestMu 2023 and in TestMu 2022 as well. Our conference is the biggest testing conference ever. It would not have been possible without his leadership here, right? So first of all, a big round of applause for him. And before we get started, also, I wanted to thank all the people who have been with us so far, day two as well. I see pretty solid number of people already live attending the session, even at the end of the day as well. And I'm pretty excited about all the stuff that I'm going to share right now, right? So let me start off by sharing my screen. And please let me know if my screen is visible. Awesome. So if my screen is not visible, please feel free to add, but I'm
Yeah,
assuming it is there.
it's visible. Yeah,
Awesome.
good to go.
Awesome. So let me start off with what we did. As Manoj mentioned, we started off with a survey on quality assurance, on future of quality assurance. As we mentioned, there were a lot of things. Our vision of TestMu was that we wanted to build up an ecosystem where everybody has a voice to come and talk about what's the future of QA and software testing is going to be about, what's the future looks like, what are the things they want to know more about. And based on that, because keeping that spirit in mind, we had a pretty good lineup that is there. We had really insightful sessions so far, but we felt there was one voice that was underrepresented, and that was the voice of everybody who has attended. In fact, a voice of every QA, every developer out there, and we wanted to kind of organize and present that voice as well. And that was in the form of the survey that we conducted. So it's still running as of right now. We'll pin the link to the survey in the chat right side. Feel free to take the survey as well. It's live right now. So the survey is about multiple things, of course, and will try to present some data, some insights that we got out of that survey so far. We had more than 1,000 responses since we made it live about 1.5 months ago, and it's kind of a sneak peek into those insights. The final insights will be shared few months down the line when we feel that yeah, we have enough responses to make the call the survey as a complete. But that gives you guys the kind of way to still become part of this and add in your responses to make it, let's say, complete, right? So to start off, let's talk a little bit about demographics. So based on all the responses we had so far, we kind of divided, like, say, what is the overall designations of the participants in the survey. And it was very interesting to note that we have people all the way from CXO, C-suite level, test analysts, and people who are just starting in their journey as well. So we have a pretty solid, uh, let's say, range of people participating in the survey. Pretty good to know that, yeah, a lot of experienced folks, that is test architects, took part in this, CXOs, 2.4% took part in this survey. And this is also visible in the experience of the people who have been there. So as you can see, more than 27% of the people had more than 10 years of experience, but we also had a good representation of QA folks who are in their starting phase of their career. So 0 to 3 years, 35% of people took part in that, and people who are, let's say, the core phases of their career, the growing phases of their career, they also took a huge part in this. So again, we had a pretty broad range of responses. It is also visible there in the different type of companies, people belonging to different sectors. Like it was obvious, okay, that the IT sector was overrepresented. It was there 51%, but that's kind of understandable. But apart from that, we had people from all other sectors as well: banking, computer software, e-commerce, ed tech, gaming, hardware, health tech. So we had people from nearly all sector of companies as well. And of course, IT was the bigger chunk, but we had people from rest of the sections as well. And that was also visible in the type of companies we had. So we had from startups, people from that has organization strength of 1 to 10, 100 to 1 to 11, 111 to 100 employees, and all the way till 1,000 to 10,000 plus employees. So we had large scale enterprises, we had startups, we had medium scale enterprises as well. So a pretty balanced mixture of all type of organizations as well. So uh, what that means is the overall data was pretty close to the overall voice of developers, testers that are there. It was not skewed towards one side. We have a very great balance of different type of demographics presented in this, and that kind of brings us to the core next section. So we had were able to get out some pretty solid insights out of this. Few very interesting things that I wanted to highlight. It's, as I said, still not complete. There are also a lot of other insights that we feel can be shared at the later date. But right now, I'm going to focus on two core sections, which I feel are pretty important to share, specifically when we are talking about what's the role of QA look like, and one other interesting topic, that is AI. So far we had a lot of questions around AI in the sessions as well. We had a lot of insights related to AI and AI's role in testing. So we're going to discuss that as well. But let's start off with something that's pretty closer to home. So what that means is, what's the role of QA? What's the role of a tester in as a architects of the overall software development process? To start that off, I wanted to highlight how the role of QA has moved on. So earlier there was a time when testers were kind of get involved at the very later stage, but now we get to see that the testers are becoming more and more important in the overall development process, and this is visible when we see the participation of testers in the sprint planning stage. So there was a question we asked: how often are you involved at the starting of every sprint planning? And got to see that nearly all type of organizations, testers are pretty heavily involved at the start of every sprint. There are still few people who are lagging behind, specifically in the large enterprises, and now it's very surprising to see in the small enterprises as well, where testers are not that much involved. But still, overall culture wise, I feel it's a very good direction where we are moving, that the testers are very heavily represented, that they are given a voice in starting the planning. And we wanted to analyze in a different way as well. So there was a chance that testers, only very experienced testers, were being involved, but that's not the case. You see the people who are in the starting phases of journey at 0 to 3 years of experience, even they are pretty much represented. They are also uh, like kind of involved in the planning of sprint stages. Of course, experienced testers, that are test architects, lead testers, they are also represented. They are, of course, involved in the sprint planning at the very early stages, but junior testers are there as well. So culture is more and more shifting towards where testers are now kind of becoming the architects of the overall software development process as well. They have a voice, at least in that architecture, and whatever the softwares are developed, it is built with the mind of testing in place. So that is pretty interesting to note, and the data shows that as well. Another thing to note on all of this is that as software testing is becoming more and more important, the budgets that has been allowed for in a project on the testing is started to increase as well. Overall, if you see, there are big companies, large companies, they are spending more than 40 to 45% of their 40 to 45%. Large companies are spending nearly 25% and more of their overall development budget on software testing. There are still, I'll say, things that can be improved, but yeah, a pretty big focus on software testing as a part of the budget itself, that is also being shown. So as I said, the culture that is moving towards software testing first, it is visible across, that is there in the budget part as well. And next, so what that means now, what that means is now people can bring up dedicated testing teams. So this has been a question that has been I have been hearing for nearly 6 years since I have been the part of Lambda Test. Who writes the test? There was a movement some time ago, nearly 4 or 5 years ago, where everybody was saying that yeah, developers should write their own tests, but that's not the case in the practical language. As we saw in the earlier slide, people have a dedicated budget for testing, and what that means is now people have a dedicated team for testing, and that means most of the tests, specifically in large enterprises, you see are written by dedicated people, dedicated testers, SDETs. And of course it cannot happen without the collaboration between developers and testers. So this is visible over here as well. So both developers and testers are part of the testing process, but the data is skewed toward SDET profile. So no matter what this, everybody says that yeah, developers should write the test or the role of testers is diminishing. That's not the practical case right now. We still have pretty solid representation of dedicated QA testers in the even large enterprises as well. And surprising to see, small enterprises, even though they are at the starting of their journey, they have a dedicated SDET profiles as well who are helping them write the test. So the team is built up in such a way with automation tester in mind. Right? But there are still companies that are not doing automation testing. I don't know why they're not doing that. They need to catch up. And what the next, it's kind of little bit, I'll say, I'll open to you guys to kind of make an interpretation out of it. But even though we have so many SDETs, even though we have a big budget that is being shown to the that is being done on the testing, the amount of time it takes for companies to execute their overall build. So this amount of time is pretty important. Why? Because this is what we call developer feedback time. A higher developer feedback time kind of create a lot of developer interrupts, and that kind of decreases the overall productivity, overall release cycle. So it's always beneficial to have a very fast execution time, having a very fast developer feedback, and that means lower interrupts and higher productivity. But even after so much budget that is being spent across the testing, there are a lot of companies whose overall test execution time takes more than a hour, and we see a lot of companies whose test execution time went in the range of 24 hours, went in the range of 6 hours. Under 5 minutes, pretty few companies, small enterprises are there, but no large enterprises is kind of running their tests fast. And that is also kind of visible when we see in the release velocity. So now it's taking so much time to execute their tests. It has started to slow down the overall release velocity. Here you see the peaks, that is 54%. These are slow release velocity. So this was a question we asked, like how much time it takes for their sprint to complete, how much time it takes for them to release a feature in production. And usually in large enterprises, we see that the release cycle is pretty slow. That is, they are releasing once every month or once every quarter. There are few companies that are releasing pretty fast. That is, they are releasing daily or multiple times daily. Then there are companies who are releasing weekly or bi-weekly within 14 days. But most enterprises, as you can see, large enterprises are releasing in a monthly cycle. Now that's contradictory in nature in the fact that they are spending a large amount of budget. They have so much of testing, big testing teams. They have everything in place, big teams, big budget to make their release velocity fast, but it's still not there. There's still gap that can be covered, and that's pretty interesting to see. Right. So moving on to the next part, and now this is something I'll say that most of us will agree to is the most important hot topic in this conference so far. That is AI and the impact of artificial intelligence on the testing. There have been a lot of speculations going around what AI role will look like in future, and we wanted to bridge that gap. Now, very important factor here to note was the first question, like, are people using the AI based tools or AI powered tools in their automation testing or in general testing processes or not? And very surprising to see that, okay, I will not say it's surprising, it's there to see that nearly everybody is using that. And the surprising part is large enterprises who are pretty much slow to adopt new technologies are leading the race. So nearly 84% of big enterprises that are more than 1,000 employees, 10,000 employees are using somewhere or another AI powered tools. Now, what they are using them for? So mostly the impact that they are seeing on the because of these AI tools is specifically related to productivity. So everybody feels that yeah, AI powered tools help them boost productivity, and most importantly, they make the life of a tester pretty easier in things like test creation. So it makes the process of creating test easy, it improves overall testing efficiency, and most importantly helps accelerate the learning curve. So the gap that was there between manual testing to automation testing, it kind of moved a little bit closer. And because of kind of AI tools, they are automating the automation task as well. So it kind of helps boost the productivity. But apart from that, what exactly are the tools people are using? Now, the most interesting part was how is AI elevating the overall software testing process? And the idea here was what are the things people are doing right now using these AI tools? It is heavily skewed towards test data generation. Surprisingly, I thought like people would be doing most of their code generation process with AI, but it is not that much. The most uses of AIs are in test data generation, test case generation, and analysis of test logs. So after every test has been run, there are thousands of logs, hundreds of files to go through to analyze what is breaking, where is breaking, and this is where AI is helping out. And of course creating test data, creating test cases, and I don't think there is any tester out there who likes writing test cases. So they are, this is one place where they are heavily using the AI tools. uh, Coming back to the next point, now also wanted to take this as a way to present the voices of people who took part in the survey. There was an option to add in your voice, what you think the role of AI is going to be. And these are some of the responses that we got from there. Uh, Again, there people are there on fence, but there are people who are dedicatedly using. So it can help you make the work of make your work easy. That is there visible. Then we had another input that they want to do every part of the testing, just give the link and ask the AI to kind of make the automated test of everything in a format that is perfect. You do not even require to review the code, and they create so complete end-to-end AI tool. Though it is not there right now, I think 4 or 5 years down the line we will have a tool something like that. Then there was another, like this was a pretty important point, that we should not be pretty reliant on new technologies as well. Overall, the human skills trump everything. And this is AI is just another tool. It's in your another tool in your toolbox. Ultimately, it's how you use that tool that will make your life easier. Right? So that's a pretty interesting point. Uh, and yeah, one of the things that we see specifically in code generation tools is kind of give you the scripts or very framework of the scripts, but it does not give you complete end-to-end dependencies, will not kind of create everything, package everything, and provide you complete running tests. Those are the things you still have to do. So it can boost your productivity, but cannot do everything for you, right? So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, so that's more of it from my side. But before going, I just want to highlight the survey is still open, and we are still listening to your voices and really appreciate it if you take part in the survey, add in your inputs, and yeah, make it a success. Awesome. Awesome, great. So yeah, that's more of it on from my side. Now moving on, we have a pretty great day planned for you tomorrow as well. There are a lot of contests that are being running. Feel free to take part over there, uh, and we'll open fluid space for a few minutes. We kind of have you get a chance to kind of interact over there with your fellow members. We also have 43, 45 plus partners whose booth are there. So I'll really request you guys to kind of visit their booths, interact with them. They have pretty awesome tools, frameworks, platforms, and without their help, this would not have been possible. So do check out all booths. There's a and tomorrow we have around 12 plus sessions that are planned. We'll share the, you can find the agenda in the view schedule above. And the starting session is from Titus and Dimitri. Those are the sessions that I'm looking forward to. And yeah, look forward to see you tomorrow.